Hi, welcome to this demo of Revvo. My name is Shiva and I'm the founder and CEO. Revvo is a stationary bike that makes it easy to measure gold standard fitness metrics, VO2 max, which is the single best overall indicator of fitness and health. It measures recovery, which is basically an indicator of whether you're performing at your peak today, and threshold, which is the single best predictor of endurance performance. Right? Today, there are hundreds of ways to track activity, from wearables to apps, but it's still not easy to measure if all that activity is actually making a difference to your fitness. And that's the problem we're trying to solve with Revvo. This all started a few years ago when I went for my physical and discovered that my blood pressure was starting to rise, which was scary because I'd seen my dad have 3 heart attacks before he turned 50. This was also really surprising because I'd built a fitness app early days of the iPhone to track activity. So I knew I was active, but all that activity didn't seem to have made a difference to my health. So one of the first things I learned was that being active is not the same as being fit. There's only a 21% correlation between the two. So how do you know if you're fit? I come from a life sciences background, so I dug into the science to discover that there is a single overall indicator of fitness and health called VO2 max. VO2 max is the max oxygen the body can utilize. Elite athletes typically have twice the VO2 max compared to the average human. And the American Heart Association calls it the single best overall correlate of health, strongest predictor of cardiovascular risk, and basically recommends that every adult should measure this on a regular basis. How do you measure VO2 max? Usually you have to go to a lab, wear a face mask. It costs $150 on average to do a single test, and even athletes don't particularly enjoy the experience. Plus, I wanted to have a way to measure this on a regular basis so I could see if all that exercise I was doing could actually impact my fitness. Right? So after months of experimentation, I basically ended up inventing an innovative way to measure VO2 max without using face mask, and that is the genesis of Revvo.
How does it work? Once you create your profile, Revvo guides you through a 15-minute fitness test. You cycle for 30 seconds at a given target, then stop for 30 seconds so it can measure your recovery, then cycle for 30 seconds at a higher target. The test starts off really gentle and gets progressively tougher and tougher until you reach your max and give up.
Nice, terrific, awesome.
During the test, Revvo captures and analyzes information from 2 sensors: energy expenditure in watts measured directly on the bike, and heart rate from a monitor you wear around the chest. When you finish, Revvo walks you through your results step by step. It tells you where you're doing well and where you need to improve. You can also get detailed information on each metric and compare your score against age, health, and sports benchmarks. During the test, Revvo analyzes your heart rate response to different levels of stress to detect your fat max, which is the point of maximum fat burn, and your lactate threshold, which is your endurance limit. It also records your max heart rate and power output achieved during the test. And based on this information, Revvo builds a training program that's truly personalized to your physiology and is therefore short yet effective.
How accurate is the data? We've had people with a wide range of age groups and fitness levels test both on Revvo and in the lab, and our results correlate 97% with gold standard lab technology. So when I did my first test on Revvo, it measured my VO2 max at 30, which basically made me less fit than the average grandfather and right in the health risk zone. So my blood pressure numbers start to make sense now. How do you improve your VO2 max? The closer you train to your own personal max, the quicker the improvement in your VO2 max. And Revvo measures your max power. And so I changed my exercise program, so I was now cycling for about 30 seconds, close to my own max power, and I would repeat that a few times per session. Total session length was about 15 minutes. And within a few weeks of doing that, my VO2 max had increased 8%, and my blood pressure had normalized. Fast forward to today, My VO2 max is 50, which makes me fitter than the average 20-year-old and borderline athletic. I'm essentially a different person inside. So there are about 125 million active adults in the United States alone, but there aren't 125 million fit adults, and our mission is to make it easier for every one of them to be fitter.